Hey hikers, it's Lee with Trailside Fitness. In this video, we're going to talk about the top 3 things you need to know before starting your next training program. Stay tuned. Specifically in this video, we're going to discuss what you should look for in a program, so you'll know what a bad program versus a good program looks like, how to tell if your trainer is for real or just a pretender, and why you might want to consider hiring a personal trainer to make sure that you stay on track for your goals. So I'm going to start out with this little disclaimer. I do have a training program that I offer, but this video is not intended to sell you on why my program is best. I simply want to educate you on what to look for in a good program to make sure that you're not wasting time and resources before your hike. As long as you're training with a qualified trainer and a good program, I'm happy. And that's all I want for you guys, is to spend that time training before you go. We've talked before about how important training is before you go on a hike. It reduces your injury risk, increases your enjoyment, and it just gives you a little bit of confidence going into your hike that you can handle whatever comes your way. If you look at resources like the Pacific Crest Trail Association or the Appalachian Trail Coalition, even sources like Backpacker Magazine or Outside Magazine, every one of these places is going to tell you to train for your hike. And that's really the takeaway. Like, you need to spend some time preparing your body for the hike that you've got coming up. Let's jump into what a good program looks like versus one that may not be the best use of your time. There are a lot of programs available out there, and some of them are just not a good fit for hikers. If you're doing things like bicep curls or using the pec deck machine or squats on a Bosu ball, that program is not going to be for you. Yep, you need your biceps to be able to lift your pack up and put it on, but you don't need to train your biceps for that small part of your hike. You should be focusing on some other exercises that we'll get to soon. It is really important to note that there are no bad exercises, just ones that fit you and your goals and ones that don't. So while the pec machine, squats on a Bosu ball, or any other strange exercise, there's a purpose for those and a time and a place to fit those in. But for hike training, that's not the right selection for the task at hand. So what about machines for exercise? Is it okay to use those for hike training? Yep, and a lot of machines are going to work pretty well. The downside is it means you lose a lot of flexibility if your program is entirely based on having to go to the gym and use these machines. Additionally, there's a lot of machines that just don't make a lot of sense in terms of you getting strong for a hike. Take the knee extension, for example. You almost never sit in a chair and have to kick your leg straight out and then bring it back underneath you. It's a movement that isolates the quads and can be helpful to improving strength, but it doesn't really translate well into real-world situations. Better options would be squats, deadlifts, lunges, single-leg deadlifts. There's a ton of other exercises that are going to get you way more benefit and keep you your exercise program a little bit more portable. So what about things like interval training, high-intensity interval or HIIT training? I do have a few videos up on my website, and I put them there for a specific reason. Hikers often tell me that they don't have time to train, and I took away that excuse by giving them this option. The reality is it's not the best type of training for hiking because the workouts are so short and so compact that it doesn't build on the endurance piece. Also, the workouts tend to get your cardiovascular training up really high, which hikers don't need that often. They need more sub-maximal training or endurance type workouts. These HIIT workouts are a great option if you're traveling and want to keep your fitness up, but maybe don't have a ton of time to spend going to the gym or something like that. Don't make these the base of your training program. It's okay to sprinkle them in once in a while if you enjoy doing them, but again, this should not be the focus for a training program. So what should a good training program have? Well, it should have strength, cardio, and some endurance work. The cardio piece should be sub-maximal effort. So think about hiking, for example. Your heart rate is elevated, but you're not at the top of your ability, and it should be more than just like a walk around the neighborhood, right? Heart rate's up for an extended period of time. That's what we're looking for. Strength training, this can be weights, it can be putting a pack on and doing some sort of exercise. That's perfect. You need strength to help build your upper body and lower body so you can carry the pack weight and have that little bit of extra muscle mass you need for doing elevation, like hiking up hills and hiking down hills. In addition, some endurance work. So this might be like doing stairs or track lunges or working in those training hikes once or twice a week where you're out for a certain mileage and elevation target each week leading up to your hike. You want to make sure the program offers exercises that work both legs and each leg individually. So something like a squat or a deadlift, extremely beneficial, as well as a single leg exercise like a Bulgarian split squat or a lunge. You also want to make sure that the workout has you moving in different directions, so lunging at angles, or resisting a rotation, or moving into a rotation, pushing, pulling. There should be a balance of these things. There's a couple other things you should look for in a program. One of them is a deload or recovery week. This will help make sure that you're keeping on top of your recovery work and not overtraining before you leave for your hike. This might look like a reduced number of sets or reps or just the amount of weight that you're moving in that week. You may also be doing some yoga or more stretching type activities or more hiker specific work during that week. Regardless, it should look different than the other 3 weeks of training for that month. You'll also want to make sure that your program has days off or flexibility days scheduled in. So you shouldn't have to train every single day. You do need days off, and those flexibility days are great because they allow you to do exercises that you really enjoy. If you like doing stairs, great. You have the flexibility to go do the stairs or lunges or spend that time doing a hike or jogging with friends, whatever it is. But you want to make sure that you've got some flexibility in that plan and you're not locked into 6 or 7 days a week of training. It's going to be a little bit too much and not really realistic. So what about the trainer themselves? Are they qualified to give you a program? Just because someone's hiked a long distance trail doesn't make them qualified to give you training experience. There's a lot of work that goes into building a smart program in terms of building up the exercise smart using sets and reps, managing what exercises you're doing, what muscle groups you're working, how frequent, how do you modify those exercises up and down to make sure they can fit for everyone, and a lot of other variables that get overlooked if you don't have that certification or that training knowledge to build a good program. That's not to say that people who are not certified trainers are not smart trainers. I would just look for that education piece just as a safeguard to make sure that you're getting a good quality program. And why should you consider hiring a personal trainer? Maybe it feels expensive to you or like it's kind of a frivolous use of time and money. The reality is trainers are going to help keep you on track. They can modify the program for you to make sure that it fits. So for example, if you have knee pain, they can give you some modifications to work around that knee pain. If you've got a movement restriction in your hip or your ankle, they can work with you to find those solutions. If you don't have a trainer, it might be hard to just Google or YouTube search different exercises and know if the one that you're selecting is a good progression or regression for you. You want to make sure someone's got the knowledge to help guide you in your program so that you get your bases covered. Make them sweat the details. If you're short on time, if you're sick and miss 10 days of training, if you miss a bunch of training time due to family commitments or work stuff, you tell your trainer, look, I've got X amount of time to train, I've got this many days left, maybe this exercise makes my knees hurt or my back ache. What are some things I can do instead? The trainer has all the skills and tools needed to adjust that program to make it fit for you. Without that knowledge, you're left trying to figure out how do you adjust the program? Do you just restart where you left off? Do you train twice as hard to make up for lost time? Forget all that. Like, let someone help guide your process. It makes it so much easier and takes that pressure off of you. And on a final note, I'll say that if there's someone in the hiking community who's also a personal trainer, odds are they're going to take time to answer your questions about training and injuries. I know I answer questions for hikers all year round. Don't hesitate to reach out. It doesn't matter to me if you're training with me or not. I just want to make sure that you've got the resources you need to feel successful and ready for your hike. All right, hikers, thanks for sticking around. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys got some good information from this video. Feel free to leave a comment. You can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I'm happy to answer any questions you have along the way. Happy trails.